afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, Nina Shay, to present me to the audience. Distinguished West, dear friends, and for my compatriots, may I say, kính chào chư tôn đức, quý đồng bào và đồng hương. I am very happy to welcome you to this extraordinary conference today. For me, it really is an extraordinary event. Firstly, because it is held in this wonderful building, thanks to the co-sponsorship of the Hudson Institute, Center for Religious Freedom, and its director, Nina Shay. Secondly, because we have two extraordinary panels. We have a top-level diplomat and scholar, such as Eliot Abrams, Commissioner Christina Aliaga, and Nina Shay. And we have an expert and direct victim of persecution from religious communities in Vietnam. And you, our participants, are also extraordinary, for many of you have traveled very far, from Canada, California, Texas, even Hawaii, to be here today. Many have come at your own cost, and in many cases, I know, with great sacrifice. I'm very moved by this gesture of solidarity, and I thank you once and all. The presence of two of our speakers has a deep personal meaning for me. For our paths have crossed often in the combat for democracy, religious freedom, and human rights. They are Mr. Eliot Abrams and Ms. Nina Shay. In 1985, Eliot Abrams was the U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Human Rights. It was the 10th anniversary of the fall of Saigon, while the communist government was staging huge celebration in Vietnam. I decided to celebrate it by my own way, by filing a complaint at the United Nations against Vietnam for gross violation of human rights. The complaint was a 500-page indictment of the regime repression, with the very first map of relocation camp in which over 2 million people were detained. Eliot Abrams supported our complaint and helped us break the silence on Vietnam. At the time when the American media was not ready to admit that the Vietnam War was not over. Indeed, 10 years after the withdrawal of US troops, Hanoi communists were still at war against the people of Vietnam. Nina Shay was the head of the Pupila Institute here in Washington when we first met. In the early 80s, when it was politically incorrect to criticize communist states such as China and Vietnam, Nina was among the very first to document and denounce a systematic religious persecution in these two countries. Nina is a Roman Catholic, but her work has always been ecumenical, and she campaigned tirelessly to defend the right to religious freedom for all. I am a Buddhist, and I was very moved to read her description of Buddhism in Vietnam, as I quote, "A faith that decades and even centuries of repressive policies have not been able to crush. Both Eliot and Nina played a vital role in making religious freedom a component of U.S. foreign policy. With the adoption of the International Religious Freedom Act in 1998, inspired by this landmark law, the European Union has adopted guidelines for the protection and the promotion of religious freedom, and recently appointed a special envoy for freedom of religion and belief outside the EU. Yet while the democracy are crafting policy to advance religious freedom, Vietnam is using the law to prevent rather than protect this right. Very soon Vietnam will adopt a new law on religion and belief, which will legalize the state interference into religious affairs and a draconian system of registration and control. Organizations such as the Unified Way Church of Vietnam, Montagnard Christian, or Khmer Krom Buddhists, who cannot or choose not to register with the state, will be virtually outlawed. This contradicts the very principle of religious freedom. For the Heiner Bielefeld, the UN Special Rapporteur on Freedom on Religion or Belief said, registration should be an offer by the state, but not a compulsory legal requirement. Religious freedom, both as a human right and a vector of regional and global security, is the theme of our conference today. I believe, and I will conclude my remark with this belief that has inspired me for the past 40 years, that the right to religious freedom is widely misunderstood. That the right to religious freedom is widely misunderstood. It is wrongly perceived as a right that concerns only those who believe in God. In fact, the United Nations definition is much wider, and it concerns us all. Freedom of thought, conscience, religion, and belief is truly the mother of all freedom, for it is the very core of one's identity. It shapes every aspect of your thinking and acting, who you are, how you behave within society. Here today, we will explore the way to promote and protect this right, to develop a civic culture of tolerance and compassion, and help lay the foundation of a lasting peace in this region and in the world. On this ambitious note, I thank you all again.